From Provo, Utah, this is the Ultimate Final Fantasy Podcast with your hosts, Joseph DeGolier and Caleb Schweitz. This is Ultima Final Fantasy. Welcome to another episode of Ultima Final Fantasy, the Ultimate Final Fantasy Podcast. I am Joe.
And I'm Caleb.
And today we're going to be
half-assing it.
It's not half-assing it so much as it is that we have almost no more space on our Libsyn account.
Yeah, the Final Fantasy XII review is a giant piece of work.
Yeah,
piece of art.
We probably should have split it into 3.
Yeah.
And so we're out of space on our Libsyn account. So this is going to be a short episode, and next week is also going to be kind of a short episode too. We would have normal full-length episodes otherwise. We are also recording this early because we're going hiking this weekend. So It's all kind of crazy, but it'll be back to normal in like 2 weeks.
Right. Yeah, we're doing the Kings Peak hike here in Utah. It's like the highest point in the state.
Yeah,
so 4-day hike.
13,500 something feet.
Yeah, which is ridiculous. And we're at like 4,600 or so feet. So that's a lot of gain.
Yeah.
But it's over, 2 days. So we'll be fine.
Yeah, I think we'll do just fine. Hopefully we don't die. If we do die, there will be no episode next time.
Yeah, it'll be our final one will be a short one. So.
It'll be a little mini-sode almost.
But of course, you can find that and more on our YouTube channel. It's youtube.com/Ultima Final Fantasy. You can like us, follow us, better yet, on Twitter. It's @UFF Podcast. Like our page on Facebook, facebook.com/Ultima Final Fantasy. And of course, the Patreon. Are we going to release this when we're done?
Yeah, we'll release this on Patreon. You guys will get an
episode on Wednesday.
Yeah.
Awesome. So, we'll release it, when we're done doing all this stuff. Usually a day, sometimes 5 days, 4 days. Follow us on Twitch. We are live streaming right now for our Twitch audience out there.
Si, senor.
And I will be playing a shit ton of Final Fantasy 13 because I've been slacking since the massive day. So,
that's
to be expected.
Yeah.
Yeah. And you can find this and more on our website, ultimafinalfantasy.com.
Sweet.
Yeah.
Shall we get to the news?
Yeah, let's get to the news.
News. All right, so real quick, before we get to what you want to talk about, I am sure.
Yeah.
Final Fantasy VII is launching today on the iOS App Store.
Yeah, I got a message from one of our listeners in the UK, and he said it was released at midnight.
Awesome.
So they got it. Yeah,
I didn't know anything about this beforehand.
It's out.
So that's sweet for you Apple users. Of course, it might have the same problems as all the other stuff on iOS as far as Final Fantasy.
I thought Final Fantasy 3 was better on iOS than it was on the Game Boy? No, DS.
On the DS, yeah.
Yeah.
Well, it looked better, if anything. How are the controls? I know people complain about the controls. That's what it is. I don't really have any experience with it.
The controls on 3 were fine. The problem that most people have with the controls is that they have a little square in the corner that'll have a directional pad on it. Now, with Final Fantasy 3, I could put my hand down on the screen anywhere and control where I go.
That's kind of cool.
Yeah, so I wasn't really limited, and then I could kind of, pull on the screen and zoom in to find those hidden items everywhere. So I thought that made it pretty interactive, and it was enjoyable. I found a ton of stuff, just like zooming in on places that I'm like, oh, there could be an item somewhere around here, and I find an elixir,
Well, there was something like where you had to tap on the DS in order to get that, so...
Yeah.
Was it really intuitive? Like, it wasn't clunky at all? Or?
No, I didn't think it was clunky at all. There were a few times when I would be too close to the edge, and I would stop walking, because I'd go off screen kind of a thing, so some limitation would be nice, but I don't like the look of the ones with the built-in D-pad.
No, I get it.
It looks bad to me.
I get it. I bought Final Fantasy II, the original Final Fantasy II, onto my iPod Touch, and I only played it for like 5 minutes, and it had like this weird controller side thing, this weird D-pad that was on the screen that you had to use.
That's not cool for your iPod.
Yeah, I'm not sure what FF7's using, but it would be interesting to see. I don't think I would have ever dreamt of the day that Final Fantasy VII would be launching on mobile phones.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Well, I mean, it's not too big of a surprise. I mean...
It's not now, but only after years of build-up.
Yeah, I suppose.
And Grand Theft Auto. Final Fantasy slowly coming on.
Yeah, San Andreas is on mobile phones, though. That's a PS2 game.
So what else is now available?
Type 0 on Steam.
Sweet.
So, yeah, if you guys don't want to get a PS4 yet, go pick it up on Steam. It is now available.
Yeah. And that's not news. Okay. So
technically, this isn't really
news either. But this is pretty cool. There's a Final Fantasy VII beat 'em up sort of game that some company made. What is it? PD Design Studio created an unofficial Final Fantasy VII beat 'em up game, and it has the stage in Midgar. They kind of reimagined it, and you guys should see this trailer. It's pretty cool.
Yeah. Let's listen to it.
You want to listen to it? It really is. It's just like a classic side-scrolling action game, only it's Final Fantasy VII.
Yep. There's a scorpion tail guy. Ifrit,
yeah. It would be interesting if this was a full thing, but apparently you can actually try out the demo. This is on FF7, 7 with Roman numerals, FF7-reimagined.com.
Yeah, so go check that out. It's a cool little project somebody's got going.
It is. And by the way, if you guys play some Record Keeper, a lot of FF7 kind of themed news here.
Yeah.
Yeah. So apparently you can win a Clown Strife action figure and more by playing Final Fantasy Record Keeper this month.
Yeah, cool.
So
it's kind of fun. I mean, it's just like a classic Final Fantasy game, really. That's all Record Keeper is. It's no big deal.
Yeah, it's some kind of draw having to do with the game, so some people got to get into that.
Yeah.
Yeah. And our last piece of news, not too much news since we only had like a few days.
Yeah, 3 days.
Yeah, since we last recorded. Kingdom Hearts 3, it now has they have announced that it has a Big Hero 6 world.
Yeah.
Did you ever see Big Hero 6?
No.
It was pretty good.
That's what I hear.
Yeah, it's not as good as Tale of Princess Kaguya.
Yeah.
Yeah, which should have won the Oscar, but whatever.
That's fine.
I won't feel too bad about that.
You know, I was looking at Oscar nominations yesterday, and there were a lot of movies that I was like, this one's better than the winner.
Yeah, do you like Forrest Gump winning over Pulp Fiction?
No.
And Shawshank Redemption?
No.
I mean, I like Forrest Gump, but it is not as good as those other two.
No, and there were many times where Martin Scorsese's movie was way better than the winner, and I was like, come on. Come on, man. Taxi Driver losing to, what was it?
I don't know.
I don't know either, but I was like, no, that's not right.
Well, what was 1984? Was that Amadeus?
I think it might have been.
Oh, you haven't seen Amadeus. I mean, I'm not sure how I would pit it against Raging Bull. But anyway, this is a Final Fantasy podcast.
Yeah.
And we should talk about Kingdom Hearts.
Yes.
We should let this guy talk about Kingdom Hearts. This dude is high off his mind 90% of the time.
Hello, Disney and Kingdom Hearts fans. It feels like just yesterday that we
Hello.
let the cat out of the bag and announced that Tangled would be featured in Kingdom Hearts 3. It is an honor for me today to announce to the world that now Big Hero 6 will also be featured in Kingdom Hearts 3. As you know,
guys should
San
watch this
Francisco
video.
is a great representation
This
of
dude's-
two amazing cities, Tokyo and San
This
Francisco.
guy's baked.
And now we have teams both in Japan and the United States working on another love letter to those two great cities. Big Hero 6 is such a special film
Wow.
for me.
It's such a
And
special
we always
film.
made sure that each action sequence had a very special meaning. The themes in Kingdom Hearts and Big Hero 6 match very well. For instance, there's friendship, really important to both stories. And then,
Yeah,
of
I agree.
course, light over darkness. The story will take place after the events of the film, after Hero and the gang have formed a heroic team. Not only will this allow us to explore all new adventures focused on great action, but we'll also get to see Baymax again. I hope you guys are as excited as we are. Thank you.
Oh man, the guy's facial hair really just adds to it.
Yeah, he's
too.
got like the goat.
That man
goatee.
smokes so much weed.
Yeah.
So much weed. Guys, look up the Big Hero 6 announcement video for Kingdom Hearts on Square Enix's YouTube. It's amazing. Really, just for that guy. But also, it's really exciting that Big Hero 6 is going to be part of Kingdom Hearts 3. And someday, we'll get into Kingdom Hearts. Someday. In this Final Fantasy podcast, we'll get there.
Yeah, it'll take a while, but, you know, we got time. We're young.
All right, so we're going to move on to our very small discussion.
All right.
All right, Schweiss, what do you got for us?
So I was sitting there at work the other day, and I was like, you know what? I think Mr. T needs to be the voice of Barrett in the Final Fantasy VII Remake, because I was like, hey, Barrett is Mr. T.
Okay.
He is what Japanese people think of when they try to incarnate a black man in their minds. It's Mr. T.
At least in 97.
In 97, and then Saws in 2009, because they still don't know what a black guy looks like, but whatever.
Well, they look black.
They are black, but
disagree that they look
it's
black.
very... Yeah, it's not quite accurate. So there's a petition on change.org that's for casting Mr. T as the voice actor for Barrett in the upcoming Final Fantasy VII Remake. Because I searched petition for Mr. T for Barrett and found this, and I was like, yes, we're plugging this bad boy because it's awesome. So
Okay.
the description here is Final Fantasy VII is one of the most iconic and loved video games of all time.
Oh, yeah.
After nearly 20 years, fans will get a remake that will take full advantage of modern hardware. So, folks, the time has come to do our part to make sure this game is as awesome as the original. First point of order, getting Mr. T in a room with Square Enix executives to discuss the possibility of him voicing Barrett, a motherfucking badass whose personality and design were modeled after the great man himself. I pity the motherfucking fool, I'm sure, who doesn't sign this petition.
So who's this petition from? The name's at the top, I think. Zachary Hoffman.
Yeah, Zachary Hoffman. Hopefully he listens to the show.
He's a smart man.
Yeah, so the letter is to Square Enix and Mr. T. And as of right now, we've got 24 supporters for this thing.
Oh, yeah. Okay, so this is what I want you guys to do. First off, this thing is posted within our forum. Schweiss put it up as an announcement.
Yeah.
So if you're on the forum, if you're not, get on the forum. If you are on the forum, I need you to take the link and I need you to post it on every single Final Fantasy fan page or podcast or anything like that on Twitter and have them try to, send it out past then.
Yeah, because
if Limit Break gets on this, I'm sure we can get a lot of people to sign this thing.
Yeah, and that would be amazing.
It would be amazing. I would like to see, I would like to see Mr. T as Mr. T.
Yeah, it
Personally.
would be great. Yeah, that's they definitely made him after Mr. T, and he might as well come back into the limelight via a Final Fantasy VII Remake.
So I'm guessing you can just go to, if you don't want to go on our forum, but do that instead, go to change.org and search Mr. T Final Fantasy or just Final Fantasy VII.
Yeah.
You should be able to find it.
Yeah.
I'm sure there's a million Final Fantasy VII petitions out there.
Well, I just searched in Google Mr. T for, Barrett, and I found it. So, because I was going to make my own.
Just in case there
petition.
wasn't one?
Yeah, and then there was one, so they took the work out of it for me. So that was nice of them.
Yeah, those nice people.
Yes.
All right, shall we move on to some questions?
Yeah, we should do that.
Questions for us. We would like to hear from you. To our forums. Don't contact us on Twitter. Get on and ask your questions. We'll answer them within a week. This is the question segment. Ask and you will receive.
All right, so the first question for us is from Void. Have we done a question from him in a while?
It doesn't feel like it.
We
no.
talk about them all the time. So I think at this point, both of you have had Final Fantasy games that you have replayed during the course of the show. Final Fantasy games you played before starting the podcast that you have gotten a chance to revisit. For those games, how has your opinion changed after replaying the game? For me, the biggest change was for FF13. I hated it after beating it when it first came out. When replaying it a few months ago, I knew what to expect getting into it, and that made a world of difference. I actually like FF13 now. That's a massive change from before, he says. So, how about you guys? Have your opinions changed for the FF games you've replayed? Which ones did you actually replay?
All the way through?
Yeah.
I never really beat that many of them before.
Yeah. 7 and 12?
7, 10, and 12.
Okay.
That's it. I played
Did your
most
opinion
of 8.
change for any of those?
I think 7's may have diminished a little bit. I still think it's great, but there were a lot of translation problems that I noticed this time. 10, it didn't really change, except for I accepted the crappiness of the awkwardness of the voice acting and the shitty art design, in my opinion. Whereas last time I was okay with it. And then nothing really changed for 12.
Okay.
It was about the same. I enjoyed it
About
just
the
as
same.
much. What about you? Oh, actually, the one I will say that I didn't beat before is 8. And I liked 8 more before.
Okay.
Playing through it this time, I'm like, yeah.
Not quite as good?
No, I didn't finish it before, though, either. So I don't know if I can say that because I didn't want to finish it.
Okay.
So, yeah.
Well, I think a couple things. 4 was not as good the second time around. And I know 4 is loved by so many gamers out there. And often when you look at like top 10 lists of people, 4 is usually up near the top. And for both of us, 4 was kind of near the bottom of what we've played so far. As far as the main series games are concerned. And that's really unusual. But yeah, this time around, 4 was not as impressive to me as it was the first time I beat 4, but I think 4 was my second Final Fantasy I actually beat. I mean, it wasn't one of the first ones I started, but it was one of the first ones that I actually beat.
Okay.
And so maybe there was some sentimental issues there as far as how I was seeing the game. But I don't think 4 was as good the second time around. 6, I think, was better the second time around. Like, way better. The first time I played 6, I thought the story dropped off when the world was cut in half, and then you kind of had to go scrounge about and get your other characters.
Yeah.
And I thought that was a narrative flaw, but this time around I see it was kind of genius what they did. And it took a second playthrough for me to get that.
All right.
Yeah. So, yeah, that's changed a little bit. I will say that FF13 is moving a lot faster than I remember, and
yeah, well, a 13-hour marathon will do that. And
maybe that might be
with
it.
13 thus far. I'm enjoying it, but I don't know. I still see the flaws that I saw before, just not as hateful.
I'm getting the story a lot easier this time.
Yeah, but I don't really like it. It's really rudimentary.
Well,
and
why don't you just wait till the review before you talk about it?
over complex for what a simple process it's describing, but whatever.
Well, I think that some of the problems with FF13 so far have been that they use words like focus. They could have used the word task. And then you wouldn't have to have your mind going, what's a focus? They're talking about a focus. Instead, it's like, what's your task?
Yeah, I don't know.
Or what's your quest? Or some kind of word that we all understand what it means, but focus, we don't necessarily know what that is. Or, fal'C, we know they're beings, we know they're big, but then it's like pulse fal'C and cocoon fal'C, and those are different things, and they kind of gloss over it. It's not that they don't explain it, but they kind of just
Yeah, I don't know.
zoom past it.
Yeah, there's that, and then there's the really annoying, a couple really annoying characters, but I've gotten over them. It's kind of like with Titus and 10. I hated Titus the first time I played 10, and I hated Snow, and I hated the little fucking kid, and now I still kind of hate those two, but not nearly as much. They're kind of like whatever to me. So it does, some of it gets better with age. It's like wine. So,
Okay.
What else we got here?
All right. So this is a question from Shinru on our forum.
This isn't a question. This is links.
It's really just a link.
Thoughts
but
of the 15 cast and
Seen as women instead. So there's an image here with all of the main characters from Final Fantasy 15, just all women, all the playable characters. And it's really weird.
Yeah, let's see it. Oh, whoa. Go back. Was that?
I'll show that in a second. They aren't seeing this at home, so we got to describe it.
All right, so basically Cloud, but more petite and weird.
So Cloud dressed up as a woman.
Yeah.
Is a woman.
And then the tall British one, kind of hot. Noctis, weird, emo, gothy kind of chick. Pretty much the same female form. And then the ripped ass.
This is, I don't know who did this, but this is a kind of a work of art.
It's pretty awesome.
So if you look at Final Fantasy 15 characters, gender swap maybe, or something like that, you'll see this image. It is really weird.
The last one looks kind of like what's her face from $1 Million Baby. Like that's who it reminds me of. Like she's just a badass.
Yeah, I get it.
I think it'd be fine. I don't think it would matter if they were chicks or guys. I think it'd be probably the same game.
No, we've had this discussion in an early podcast episode where it was like, there's no women characters in Final Fantasy 15, and I said, who cares?
Yeah. I'd be fine if it was the opposite, except for
I would be fine if it was the opposite too, and that's what I think.
Except if it was 10-2 again. At least as far as the intro and the look, I would not be okay with that.
Well, if they treated the thing seriously.
Yeah, if they didn't treat it like a bullshit sequel.
Some Barbie or Bratz toned Final Fantasy game.
Krinital is getting a boner in his mind.
Oh, Jesus.
Or no, a real one.
The other thing was the Sydney character as a dude
with a wide open shirt.
So instead of having the extreme cleavage of Sydney, it's instead a nice opened up chest.
Yeah, let's cut that into there. Look at that shit. There's that, and then here are the images for the chicks.
For the Twitch audience.
Yeah, for the Twitch audience.
There you go.
There you go, guys. See that one? $1 Million Baby all the way. All right, there you go.
The shaved sides of the head don't really match that, but the
true.
The body, yeah.
They made that way too modern. This is supposed to be 2006 here. So, cool question, cool notice here. We got one more question here.
Oh, I think we got a question in the Twitch chat.
Oh, we do.
For. You want to see what those are?
Yeah. What are we most excited about for our?
We got two not Final Fantasy related questions here. One from Gamma Stark, one from Krinital. What are you guys most excited about for your hiking trip? We're excited to go hike and see the sights up in the high Uintas, the Rocky Mountains.
Yeah, that's pretty much it.
So that's pretty much it.
We can't really bring any alcohol.
No?
Well, it would be heavy. We could probably bring alcohol. Cameron's got space. So I'm mostly excited to just get out and enjoy the outdoors.
Yeah, I haven't
really
been outdoors that much this summer, so it'd be nice. I mean, we went to Zion's.
Yeah, we had one other trip.
Was cool.
And so that's pretty much the biggest thing, I think, is just being outside and enjoying the time that we spend.
All right, and this last one here is from Gammon Stark. Not a new Final Fantasy title or even an FF question. For both of you guys, and more for Joe since he listens to tons of podcasts, have you ever reached a point where your podcast queue is empty? If so, what do? Re-listen? Audiobooks? I have been doing the podcast thing for 8 years now. I usually have more than enough to listen to. I find a new podcast and then binge listen until I am caught up. Once that is done, I have to go catch up on all the podcasts I have been ignoring during the binge listening. But I have reached a point where I am not adding new casts. About 2 months ago, my podcast count was in the single digits. Then one day, there was no number. There were no episodes.
Man.
I only subscribe to 14 podcasts now, and it's rare to see my queue go above 10 and difficult to get it to go above 20. I usually listen to the great courses on Audible when there are not podcasts in the queue. It is what I used to listen to before I discovered the joy of podcasts. So if any of you finished your queue, what did you do? Yes, I finish my queue all the time. When I'm at work, I just have my Bluetooth on my head, and I just listen to podcasts pretty much all day.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I go through all the Nords. Let's see, where's my phone? Oh, there's. Sorry, I had to grab my phone here. All right, so what I did last time, I ran out of space, or I ran out of podcasts to listen to. See, I subscribe to American Cinematographer, Blacklist Table Reads, Dear Hank and John, which is a cool new show from John and Hank Green. Do you know who they are?
Yeah, I know who they are.
It's like the author and his brother. They have a show on YouTube. I listen to Doug Loves Movies. I listen to How Did This Get Made? I Was There Too, which is an awesome show. KCRW's The Business, The Treatment, Malton on Movies, Podcast Answer Man for any podcasters out there. Been recently listening to Reasonable Doubt. Anyway, there's a whole bunch of podcasts I listen to. One I just found recently, I was listening to I Was There Too, which is a newer show on iTunes. And he talked about how he had another show called James Bonding, and they're going through each of the James Bond movies and talking about them.
Oh, nice.
And so that's kind of the new show I picked up. So usually when I run out of podcasts, I go try out another show.
Yeah.
That's why I have tons of shows in my queue. I think I went through about 1/3 of them. So, tons.
Yeah. And of course, I don't really listen to podcasts, so I don't have an answer to that question. I'm just not that interested in listening to people talk all day. I'd rather listen to music.
Yeah, I get it.
One day the music will dry up, though. It's getting there. I'm running out of stuff.
Oh, I ran out of music long ago. Long ago.
It's coming, and I don't know what I'll do. I'll just find podcasts. I'll have a shitload of backlog to go through, and I'll be fine.
There you go.
So
I like Adam Carolla because he does the daily shows, and he's really funny. Sometimes he'll go off on some political tangent, and it gets a little repetitive. But other than that, yeah, he's great.
Yeah, I find him kind of entertaining.
Yeah, and he's got a few shows.
Right.
Yeah. So
the one with Dr. Drew.
Dr. Drew.
As much as I bag on him, is still entertaining. Friggin' TV doctor.
Grenade Artist is asking what we do for a living, and I'm just gonna say I'm a student.
Yeah,
and I work part-time somewhere else. Sometimes I work full-time hours at a part-time job.
Yeah.
I
just work full-time. We won't disclose that.
No, we won't disclose that because we
make podcasts.
We don't want any creepers coming around.
Yeah. Well, it's not that. I think it's mostly...
There was a dude I ran across when I was working that was really into Final Fantasy, and I was just like, please don't recognize me.
Really?
Yeah.
I would have plugged the show, dude.
Yeah.
See, I was
thinking about it, and then I was like, no.
No, you should have been like, here's a great show if you like Final Fantasy, and that's it. Don't tell him it's you. Just say it's a great show.
Okay.
He'll never think the pizza guy. Just say it in a nasally voice. Just be like,
there you go.
There's a great show here.
There you go. I do pizza on the weekends.
Oh.
Yeah. Just gave it away, you dick.
Oh, sorry.
Yeah.
Shit.
All right.
I didn't even think of that. I just dropped it.
All right. So I think we're going to end the episode here. All right. You want to pull up the jingle? Pull up them jingles. Girl. There we go.
All right, guys. Well, enjoy the short grind.
Oh, yeah. This has been another production of Ultima Final Fantasy, the Ultimate Final Fantasy Podcast. The show was produced by Joseph DeGaulier and Caleb Schweiss, with music and editing by Joseph DeGaulier, parodies and clips from their respective authors, of course. You can get all of our episodes as well as our Let's Plays at ultimafinalfantasy.com. You can also contact us on Twitter at UFF Podcast, as well as our contact page on our website. Be sure to subscribe and review our podcast. Your reviews may get read on the show, and look forward to the next episode of Ultima Final Fantasy, the Ultimate Final Fantasy Podcast.